In the early 2000s, a completely unusual crossover was introduced to the world, Nissan Murano. This car was unusual in everything from its appearance to the platform on which it was based. As for the exterior, Nissan went for broke. It was necessary to win a place under the sun in the North American market. It was for this purpose that Nissan Design America decided to do something extraordinary, and I must say, they succeeded. Even today, almost 20 years later, the Murano's first-generation appearance does not look dated. Murano is not petrol for you, since inside it has practically nothing off-road. The car is built on a conventional passenger platform, Nissan FFL, which also produced Nissan Maxima and Tiana. Of course, such an architecture benefited ride and comfort, but the off-road potential here is small. The all-wheel drive system in Murano was not even in all versions, but only in the most expensive ones. Yes, and there the rear axle was connected through a clutch and no hard locks were provided. Engines. The choice of engines was poor, and in our country, in general, most cars had only a 3.5-liter gasoline unit, VQ35 to V6, 245 horsepower. Let's talk about its features. 1. Regular cleaning of the radiator is a laborious thing, you only need to remove it completely, but very useful for this motor, and sometimes critical in matters of overheating. 2. The engine is a big fan of eating up oil. And this is just the expense of the usual waste. The numbers often go up to a liter per thousand. Nissan generally considers this figure to be within the normal range. 3. Particles of the destroyed catalyst enter the cylinders. As a result of bullying, compression and capital drops. As a result, many owners got rid of this ecological unit a long time ago, especially considering the quality of our fuel. 4. Throttle sticking. As a result, the engine speed floats, and the dynamics of the car disappears or becomes jerky. This problem is not rare. Treatment. Cleaning with carb cleaner. 5. Difficulty replacing spark plugs on a V6 engine. This is not a generic motor problem, because many need to remove the intake manifold to access the far cylinder head. But, nevertheless, keep in mind that this procedure is not cheap, so you should install the best candles, maybe even iridium ones, so that you can spend money on replacement as rarely as possible. Box. When buying a used Nissan Murano, the CVT, namely, he has such a box, must be checked very carefully. It is the gearbox that is the weak point of this car. The good news may be the fact that the previous owners have most likely already repaired the box before you, but the question of the quality of the repair remains open. So, the weaknesses and nuances of the Nissan Murano CVT. 1. While driving, there should be no jerks. The car should pick up speed smoothly, without twitching. 2. CVT error code P0868. A very common problem with CVTs, and it literally means problems with transmission fluid pressure. The muck of this error is that it does not always make itself felt on the instrument panel, so you may not know about it. Only a scanner at a service station can find this error in the brains of a computer. And the owner can only feel the jerks of the box while driving. The cause of this problem is overheating of the box when the drive is too active, long slippage, towing, and non-compliance with the oil change schedule in the CVT. Many people think that the oil in the box does not need to be changed at all. By the way, do not experiment with oil for the variator, only the original is suitable. 3. More common CVT errors on Nissan. P1722, speed sensor failure, P0746, regulator solenoid valve failure, P1000, CAN bus switching failure. 4. It is important to understand that the box collapses from the inside from shock loads. If you feel jerks, go for diagnostics without delay. Otherwise, there is increased wear of the teeth of the angular gear adjacent to the variator, which transmits torque to the rear axle. By the way, the variator here is from the Japanese manufacturer Japco. Engineers constantly modified this box, and over time, many problems became less common. Outcome. When the car is already 15 to 20 years old, then it's no longer worth hoping that everything native and factory is there. Now the question is, who was the owner before and how the car was followed. When buying a second-hand Nissan Murano of the first generation, it is worth immediately clarifying when the catalysts were cut out, how they drowned out the check at the same time, as well as what was being repaired and what problems the variator had. The suspension and interior equipment in this crossover work no worse than that of classmates, so we will not dwell on them separately.